Welcome to the Positive Pants Podcast. Mindset, motivation, and inspiration to help you find your positive pants. It's time to let go of negative thinking, understand why you do what you do, and stop the self-sabotage. With your host, Fran Excel.
Welcome to the show. As always, it's Fran Excel, your resident subconscious success mentor, helping you find your very own pair of positive pants so you can get out of your own way and live a life that you love. If you want to stop sabotaging your own success and let go of the stress, then you are in the right place, my friend. Make sure you download your free Stressed to Success guided meditation at bit.ly/stressed to success as my little gift to you for being here. Please do subscribe, share, review. It really, really helps people that need to hear this message find us, and I so appreciate it. In the show notes, you will also find details of how you can work with me and where you can get your mitts on my meditations, products, and printables. You can also find it through the link in my bio on Instagram, which is my second favorite place to hang out. So please do come join me over there at I'm Fran Excel. Tag me in your takeaways, slide into my DMs. I am here for it. So that is the formalities over, my love. So let's jump into the content. I am so flippin' excited because I have my beautiful friend, Kirsty Raynor, with me today. I wanted to chat to Kirsty because she's kind of like my little, I mean, she's a devil on my shoulder as well as an angel, to be fair, but I talk a lot about the whole idea around collaboration over competition and making sure that you have a network of people around you who have your back and who get you. And that is Kirsty for me. So she is a mindset coach as well. And she's a meditation teacher, and she specializes in helping people at a crossroads in their life. But she's got quite the journey. And I thought that would be a really cool thing for her to share with us as well, because I know there are so many people out there who panic when life throws you a bit of a curveball. And Kirsty's definitely been thrown those before. So we will have a little chat about that as well. So welcome, my beautiful Kirsty.
Oh my goodness, darling. Am I going to live up to that introduction? We'll find out. Won't we? We were just reminiscing actually about Fran and I used to work together many, many years ago in our old life, didn't we? Yeah. In our previous life. And just how everything changes and how amazing it is that you finally find your path and your passion. And here we both are. And isn't that it's just such a cool story?
Yeah, I know. It's like a weird little universal tug of war, because actually the story was, so we shan't name any names, but we both used to work at the same national, very well known magazine. That's what we shall say. There's lots of celebrities in it, and it's very glossy and lovely. But it was a little bit Devil Wears Prada, let's be honest. And I actually worked there, and I ended up going to a national newspaper after that because we weren't treated in the best possible way. And then Kirsty ended up working there just after me, and some mutual clients of ours introduced us, and they were like, you guys need to meet each other. And it was kind of, we just instantly hit it off. And I was thinking how long ago that was. It must have been about maybe 15, 16 years ago now? 15?
I mean, yeah, it's around there. It's a long time ago. We are showing our age, so that's good. There's no Gen Z here, okay?
Yeah, and it was and you started your yoga teaching. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that kind of all started when I was in my early 20s. I really got into yoga because I had shoulder surgery. So my life seems to be actually like around just having different surgeries, which is great. But yeah, I had this, and it was kind of, my physio said, why don't you try yoga to help you build strength? And oh my goodness me, I went to the first class. I was like the worst person in a yoga studio. I was like the Tin Man. I was like, I just can't move in that way. Like, muscles hurt me that I never knew existed. So the whole class felt like hell. Like, I'm not going to just, I'm sure everyone who's a yogi listening to this will be like, yeah, I get that. Like, the first class is horrific. But as soon as I left and I was walking home, I have never had that feeling before of like complete peace and clarity. And I felt like my body felt light. Like, I felt like I was completely calm. And it being, I'm northern, I'm loud, as Fran knows. I'm like, all of these things, especially in my early 20s, right? Like working in media, like just having a great time. I wasn't really ever calm, and I didn't feel like I really needed it. But actually, like, as soon as I had that experience, I was like, I'm addicted. Like, I want that again. I want that again. So yoga became a passion of mine at a very young age. And then when I got to 29, I was in my Saturn return maybe, or like becoming 30, just being like, what am I doing with my life? What do I want to do? Where do I see myself in 5 years, 10 years? And for me, media was wonderful, and it was a gift to work in media, right? Like, we understand how to set up a brand and how to do these things, but it wasn't my passion. So I decided to go away and train to become a yoga teacher. I did tons of research, didn't do the cheapest of courses, saved to do an incredible course, basically. Went to Hawaii in January for a month. And I just have to say, get away in January. Like, that is the time to go away, isn't it? I was like, I'm starting my year on an absolute high. So I went there and and like immersed myself in it, right? Like, it wasn't for me, it's never really been about the physical practice. It's always been the mind and the clarity and the calmness and the feeling, the feeling that we can create. So I trained in that. Shortly after I got home, I trained in Vedic meditation as well. And I'm super, super passionate about meditation and yoga. They are modalities of things that I still work with now, but just a different way. So, often what you can see a lot of on Instagram, especially in yoga, is it's not about the postures. And when I try to work with people, I would try and tell them, like, these are just shapes you're making with your body to release energy. So think about that, think about the feeling. It's the breath, it's the mind, it's the clarity, it's the peace, and really, really helping people to understand their own body and their self as well, which is super, super important to me. You may see something, like at school, you used to do the crab. Do you remember? Like the nice back bend at school, like the crab, you called it.
I was the master.
It's basically, right. Every kid flinging themselves back into it. As we've got older, for example, I can't do that. It's called the wheel now in yoga, and I can't do that because of my shoulder surgery and because I have bone to bone compression. So it's nothing to do with flexibility. How my shoulder blades are made, they don't rotate in that way. So that's fine. So I was super passionate about helping people to understand that. And to understand that nobody ever looks the same in yoga. So please don't look at a picture, print that picture, put that on your vision board, which I see so many times, and then feel disappointed that you don't look like that, because you're never going to look like that. So like yoga was my life, yoga and meditation. I was jetting all over the place, running around London with my blooming yoga mat, like honestly, like buckaroo everywhere. And I loved it. And it was amazing. And unfortunately, I had to have hip surgery. So so I injured my hip doing a half marathon. Listen, I don't want to slate running, but for me, I was not a runner, did a half marathon and ended up having to have hip surgery. So that's my running story. But it was incredibly difficult coming to terms with the fact that I had to have surgery on my hip. My job is physical. My job was running around. I didn't have downtime. I didn't crave downtime because I loved it. Like even when I got up at 4:30 some mornings, I was like, I love it. I don't care. Like I can sleep later. I can sleep tomorrow. Like I just want to be with these people and make these people feel amazing. Right. So, a lot of work was done mentally for me, emotionally, to deal with the fact that I needed to have my surgery. And then I foolishly thought, well, I'll just have like 4 weeks off. it's fine. I'll just recover and then I'll be back. And I just wasn't. And I've never taught since. And it's fine. And I'm actually completely okay with that now, because it was my greatest gift to make me stop, like just stop running around, stop getting up at these ridiculous hours, getting home at 9 p.m. on a Monday, stop and think about what you really want in your life and what do you want your legacy to be. And I came back to, it's all about the feeling, and it's been the feeling since day one. And so now I've trained in transformational coaching, obviously work with my meditation practices, work with amazing companies and individuals to help them in these transitional spaces. Because I have been there, I have been at a crossroads, I have stood there and thinking, which way do I turn? What do I do now? What am I supposed to be doing with my life? And it's hard, but it doesn't have to be that hard, and you don't have to do it on your own. So now that's what I really want to focus on, trying to help people. And I really do think that if I hadn't have had that hip surgery, I'm not sure if I'd have got here. And I'm so grateful for that. So that's me.
Post-traumatic growth at its finest.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Absolutely.
Yeah. So and it's funny that you mentioned the transformational coaching, because that's how we ended up getting back in contact. Because when you were jetting all over the world, that was when I was going through all sorts of stuff with the pub and the restaurant and the business owners screwing us over, and then losing our home and moving in with the mother-in-law. So we lost touch for a few years. And then I saw that you were doing transformational coaching, and you were doing it in the same place that I did it with Animas, which is ICF accredited. And I was like, oh my God, we need to talk. This is amazing. And then kind of since then, I don't even know when that was now. It's maybe almost a year ago again now. And I'm like, we've been speaking pretty much non-stop ever since.
God, it feels like it was longer than that. I mean, it could be. Who knows? What is time now anyway? Who knows? I'm unsure. Where has time
I went to
gone?
the pub for lunch today, and I was like, what on earth has just happened? I've been out with people and it feels weird and it feels normal at the same time. I don't know. I'm discombobulated.
I know. Great word.
That's one of my favorites. But it's one of the things that we said. We were like, okay. And then you started posting things about things that you were doing. And I was like, that is like my favorite place from when I was a kid. And we had all these kind of weird synchronicities. And we're like, okay, something's going on. So what is that? And then when we were speaking, we were like, I know that we're going to be doing something together. We still haven't figured out what that is. But the nice thing is that in this industry, there's so much focus on competition. I can't talk to that person. I can't like that person because they do the same thing as me. And it's like, technically on paper, we are mindset coaches. I actually hate the term mindset coach because it's kind of a part
I know.
of what I do. I'm like, I'm trained in like 8 different modalities and learning 7 others. It's like I've just it doesn't fit for me, but that's what people associate the term with. But we essentially kind of do the same thing. But the beauty in that means that we really, really get each other. We get the pitfalls, we get the issues, and we can just have each other's back all the time. And I'm always talking on the podcast. One of the main ways that people find me is because they're Googling why my friends and family don't support my business. And it's such a rife thing that is out there. But it's a 2-pronged thing. First, there's that your friends and family, it feels like they should be supporting you and doing all of these things, and they're not. But then there's also how alone you feel when you're doing it because your friends and family aren't supporting you. So it's so important that you find your people, whether that's joining memberships, masterminds, doing courses, all of these things that are available to us. If I had known then what I know now, that probably would have been the first thing that I did. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, we're super passionate about this, aren't we? We talk about this all the time. I think it's incredibly sad. And I've seen that actually of people not supporting you who are really close to you. And that I would never say that it's down to just solely jealousy, but you can be triggering to people without realizing that you've been triggering, even though you're trying to put out all this goodness in the world. And we just want to help people, right? Like that's at our core. We want to help people, but you can be super triggering without really realizing. So that's what I sort of think, firstly. And also, I am actually going to quote your friend Lisa, right? Because it's really, really stuck with me when she was talking about the hairdresser analogy. And she was like, that's like saying, oh, I want to be a hairdresser, but there's already one, so I can't do that, or they can't be my friend because they already do that. What we see and what we've talked about, I mean, me and Fran, let me tell you, we talk a lot. Okay, there's endless voice notes, but we've become each other's almost like work family around it, and we bounce ideas off each other and we get more creative and we actually enhance each other's creativity, and there's a great saying as well that goes around at the minute in women supporting women when they feel a bit down or they need support. When women are thriving, we don't see that same, whereas me and Fran will like shout for each other, share things, talk about things. It's all about that. Like it's about that growth. Like we all grow together. Like I don't feel good in my life if I'm not lifting everyone up around me. Same as you, when I've had wobbles and gone, I don't know if I can do this, Fran's like, well, what is it? Like, why do you think that? Like, take a step back, recognize it, and it's that collaboration that is so needed now. We need that connection, community, collaboration, all of the things more than ever coming out of this bloody pandemic. And so I just want to see more of it. And also like it energizes you. Like who wants to sit and work by themselves all day every day? No thank you. Not for me, not for this northerner.
Yeah, and you're so right with what you were saying about how people trigger other people in their lives, and that it's not always about jealousy. But one of the things is that I love is the crab in the bucket analogy. When you start doing something, so with crabs, you can chuck a load of crabs in the bucket, and if one tries to escape and go for freedom, all the other crabs, instead of trying to go like, yes, go on, buddy, you can do it just a little bit further, they actually drag that crab back in. And we can see that mirror in real life. So I do say quite a lot, like, not be careful who you talk to about it, in a sense of like, be careful what you say, but understand that often the people that you're talking to have a very different map of the world to you. And that's okay. It may take them a little minute to catch up and see what's possible, but things that they don't right now. You have knowledge that they just aren't privy to just yet. And for certain people in your life, yes, it can be about jealousy because you're triggering the fact that you're doing something that they wouldn't back themselves to do. But also for the people who love you, there's a lot of fear and anxiety around that as well, because you're triggering their map of the world, which is go get a corporate job, go to university, get a corporate job, work your way up the ladder, and you do that for the rest of your life, being miserable. That is seen to the vast majority of certain generations as safe, when we learn what is safe from our parents and all of these things. So it was a real struggle for me at the start because my parents were in the education system. They valued education and the process that you go through. You get your education, so you get your degree. So it's GCSEs, A levels, degree, and you get your degree, and you get your degree to get your job, and then you get your job to work your way up the ladder, and it's a very different mentality to, hang on a minute, you're telling me that you can actually go and earn the same amount, if not 10 times more, working for yourself. Like most people don't understand that possibility, and they have all their own stuff that's wrapped around it. This is why I'm always saying, like, peeling back the layers of the onion, because everybody's always got their own opinions and assumptions and their own belief systems sitting there on the surface. So one of the things that I think I want to get across here is that essentially it's not always about you. It's just not. So knowing that, it's a lot easier, and again, that's another reason why you want to find your tribe, because when you find your tribe, you have the people to talk to about it. You have those people that understand the same possibilities that you have, that have a more similar map of the world than you do. So when you first started your business, because you were definitely one of the first, how did you find it?
Yeah, I mean, I found it difficult. I won't lie. I took that leap and I felt like very alone. Going from media, which is incredibly busy, incredibly
Yeah.
social, like being social is literally part of your job,
Yeah.
right? Like going to rooftop drinks, going to breakfast, doing all of the things is part of your job, right? So I
Yeah.
went from that to being on my own all day, every day. And it was difficult. Like at first, I kind of bit off a lot more than I could chew. I was very much like, you know what? Like, I'm good. Like, I'm really adaptable. Like, I'm fine. Like, I'll go and find like a cool coffee shop to work out of. And yeah, that's great. But by day like 15 of doing the same thing every single day, I became very, very alone. Very alone, very really like drummed down with my thoughts.
Yeah.
And when I first launched, back in the days, so feels like so long ago now, Instagram was obviously, it's nothing like what it is now, but, I had to be on it. And then I became very, very heightened and very aware to competition on Instagram. And I wanted to get away from that. I didn't want to be seen as that. I don't go on Instagram for ego or for followers. It was, I literally went on there to talk to people, to find connection, because I was really, really missing it. So, even though I got to work with different people every day, I had different clients. I turn up at somebody's house, for example, and I've taught, all kinds of people, from like old couples to celebrities to kids in schools. I've like taught everyone pretty much. But when I go there, I'm professional, right? I'm not there to have a massive chat. Like, sure, we have a bit of a connection, but I'm there to give you this gift, give you yoga, and then I would be on my own again. So I walk back home, maybe I'll have like lunch on my own, go and teach, and it just became very, very isolating. So I have a huge, huge passion in wanting to create community and collaboration and warmth and energy around people. And I hope I give as much as I like to receive as well, from people. I want to be there and to be somebody that people can call up and be like, let's have that conversation, let's go for coffee, let's have a work day together, let's do this, let's do that. You don't have to be on your own. And sometimes actually it feels nice to feel overstimulated, that you're like, do you know what, I'm a projector, I need to just reboot for 2 days on my own again, and then I'll be good and then I can come back. But I'd much rather be in that position and need, the few days out, than be kind of on my own thinking, oh my goodness, I'm not going to speak to anybody all day today. So yeah, it was difficult at first. Yeah.
I know for me, the way because when I first started, I started a jewelry company, and that was incredibly isolating, because that was really about competition. So I just had nobody to talk to, bounce ideas off, to give me confidence or anything. And I really struggled with that. So when a friend of mine goes to me, Fran, I really think you should just get a proper job, I kind of took that as an excuse, a reason, like permission to quit and go back. And I told myself I wasn't quitting. I was just going to get a job to supplement my income, because the plan was that I wouldn't take any money from it for 2 years and I would build it. But obviously life imploded. But it was that, because I was so isolated, it was easy for me to take that one comment and go, oh, okay, yeah, I should do that. And I did. But then after a little while, it gave me that extra oomph, that determination to go, hang on a minute, no, that's their map of the world. That's their issue. And actually it was Tobin being so supportive, saying, why aren't you doing it anymore? You're amazing at it. And all of these different things that helped me get back on that horse. But obviously it was also the pivotal moment to doing what I'm doing now, because I had so much work to do. My self-esteem was just on the floor because we'd lost everything. And I really needed to work on that to be able to go back into an industry where I was humiliated. I felt humiliated because I'd left. I'd made this big song and dance about leaving and going to the good life and all this. And there I was, a year or so later, feeling as though I was going back with my tail between my legs. But actually what was incredible was, because I'd been doing a lot of work on myself around that time, was when I went back and people were asking me what happened, I found they weren't judging me at all. They were empathizing with me, but also, I hate to say this, but this is the word that they use, but they were being inspired by my story. They were like, wow, I can't believe that you went through all of that and now, you know, this is how you're talking. And it was the post-traumatic growth thing that I love it when that happens, where something awful happens and you just end up so much better off because of it. I love that. But for me, when I came back into, I was like, no, I am doing this. I am having my business. This is what I'm doing. And I started going down that road. It ended up being one of the first things that I sought was community, was people who were doing the same thing as me. And to start with, it was, because this is a while ago now, it was actually quite difficult to find. So I started I basically just went to any event that I could think of, any in-person event where they were teaching entrepreneurial things, marketing things, all of that sort of stuff. I would go and I would push myself to talk to as many people as I could. And I started building my community from there. And I've still got some friends, like lifelong friends from that. I got clients from that. So much came from it. But that was how I started finding kind of my support network, my people. And then the other thing I did was I joined a membership, and I would take courses. But I found with courses, when they weren't taught live or anything, you didn't get any community element with that. So the membership is kind of where I was building people. And if they had an in-person meetup, I would always go. Was it similar for you, or did you have another way of kind of finding your tribe, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, for me as well, I was teaching and doing loads of pop-up events with brands. So I was very passionate about taking through my experience of working with different brands, and I'm super creative. So, for example, you know, my first class I ever taught, my first public class, was on a rooftop of a like really trendy bar in Hackney that just opened, and it was hip hop yoga, and it was in time to hip hop before this like became a thing here. Like this is like got picked up by Time Out, like all sorts of things, because they were like, we've never heard of this. And so, yeah, so I really kind of managed to build a tribe. But again, it felt professional. It always felt like these people want to see me and it's great. And I'm like being picked up by these brands or been spoken to. And, you know, I got asked to be an ambassador by Sweaty Betty and like all of these different things. But again, it was professional, right? So for me, I didn't really need to teach in a studio. I didn't build my business in that way because I wanted to have the flexibility again. I thought, you know, if I'm at their beck and call, that's kind of not really why I left my job. You know, I want to have my freedom. I want to create these bespoke experiences. But I joined a gym because I just wanted to meet people and see them every week and feel part of something again. So yeah, it was great. I mean, oh my goodness, we built a whole tribe. Like that was a tribe, a class. You know, Monday night, it would be packed. It was oversubscribed every week. And I don't just put that down to my teaching. I put that down to like the feeling that we got, the music. I had the lights out, candles, you were in time to music. I would play anything from classical music to hip hop to dance to everything to take you on this like journey of endorphins, right? And people got addicted to the feeling. So, you know, and it became like well known. So off the back of that, I kind of found a really like-minded group of people who felt inspiration from me in a sense of what I gave them, but also like they wanted to have that two-way energy. They wanted to be in conversation with me. And I just developed like a really beautiful like group of people through that. But also people in wellbeing are lovely. And I just have to say that and shout out I mean, obviously not everyone, but you know, 99% of people are lovely. And you can go up to them and say, oh my goodness, I follow you on Instagram, but we've never, and they'll be like, oh, it's so amazing to connect. Like I literally just met someone today for the first time, right? Like I went for lunch, my friend introduced like, you two should meet, have a chat. You know, that's what the industry is about. And I think that if you are in it for the right reasons, you know, you want to help people, then come and say hi, come and speak to me and Fran. Like that's part of it. Like I love meeting new people and their journeys and their story. And so for me, you know, again, like just being really open and really receptive to people and not judging anything on, you know, perceived air quotes, you can't see that, but like success. So, you know, someone might reach out to you with like 100 Instagram followers. And I know people who wouldn't reply to somebody like that. For me, that is such a vanity metric that means like jackal, basically. Like it means nothing to me. Your character as a person, your motive, your mission, your ambition, that's what I want to be around. So if that's resonating with you, please do reach out to us. We love meeting new people, don't we? We are all about building our tribe, and be bold and just be in line with what you want to achieve, and just reach out to people, and people be receptive of that as well.
Yeah. Oh, so true. It's the same for me on Instagram, actually. Even just this week, somebody said to me, I'd sent them a message because they'd replied to one of my polls. So I sent them a message about that, and they hadn't replied. So I sent a voice note just saying, let me know how you're feeling, because obviously that the last week or so I've been kind of helping people make the decision on whether they're going to join one-to-many or not. And I think people just make the assumption that because you're a partner that you're going to try and hard sell them or anything. And it's been the loveliest thing how many people I've helped say no this time, and they're so grateful, because they're like, I thought maybe, you don't come across like you're going to hard sell me, but there was that. I was worried about that. And I just want to say thank you. I'm so grateful. You'll see me next year, because the reality is you're making a big investment, and I know what it feels like to be on the side of that. And it's horrible. It's horrible. So teetering on that fence going, do I, don't I? So there were several people that I helped them, and I took them through, and I coached them through the process to help them make the decision. And being able to give someone that relief, whether it was a yes or a no, is amazing. And somebody else said, like, oh, I thought these were just like automated messages. I didn't realize it was, I'm so sorry I haven't responded. I thought you were maybe just sending them to all your followers. I was like, no, you said you wanted my help, so I'm helping. And I always think it's lovely when that happens, because I love giving that to people, but at the same time, it makes me feel a little bit sad.
I understand that. Yeah. But I think that it's because it's common practice now. So I've had like, oh my goodness, the worst messages are, you should go and follow this person. I think you really like their account from someone random. But this week I've seen it, and it's two people that I know doing that. And I'm like, dude, like, come on, like, that doesn't matter. So I think people are becoming really aware and heightened to the amount of automation and bots and all those horrible things that are on there. But there are great people on there still too, people who are like craving connection like us, wanting to help people. And so getting into chats with people in DMs. Like, I have friends who live on the internet. I don't know how tall they are. Like, literally, like, I've seen them from the chest up.
Recently. It's the weirdest thing. Right? Like, we've basically been friends for 2 years and never met. It's like, what?
It's so strange. But I
speak to you more than I speak to friends I've had for 20 years.
I know. Different phases in life. It's super fascinating, isn't it? But so for me, it's just like, I'm not shocked that they thought that, and it is super sad, but also it's what we're becoming accustomed to, isn't it? So we're trying to break the mold here. We're real humans.
And I do think there are more people trying to do that now. I think people, because, the bro marketing thing has been the scene, and they're like, if you don't follow this exact step and these exact things and do this, then you don't have a business, or whatever it may be, the scaremongering stuff. And I feel like people have realized that actually person-to-person connection, however you can create that is kind of like the magic. Because, a huge amount of my business is built on that personal connection. I mean, it's what we did in media, isn't it? It's like, 15 years of building relationships with people. That's where it happens. But then it's finding that way. It's like, okay, how am I going to get this to work for me, that is also going to work for other people? And I actually had a really nice experience recently where the person who owned the business, it wasn't them that was on the call, but it's one of their people, and it was like a client concierge kind of person. And I was all super skeptical, had the hackles up going into it, thinking, here comes the hard sell. And he actually just genuinely talked to me for an hour about my concerns, about the fact that I'd been burnt with similar things in the past. And he was like, yeah, I totally feel you. It's awful when that happens. And so that made me think, like, that is super smart of the business owner, because you can't always be the only person replying to everybody, because there comes a point where that becomes more difficult. But you can employ somebody that shares your values, that shares, you know, the way that you like to do things and the way that you like to work, that understands how you want people to feel when they experience your brand. And you can do it that way as well. It's another option, but it just made me feel really good about the purchase. And that's the thing, is because it was a big purchase. The big purchases I've done. It's right.
Right, I get it.
It's starting to think outside the box a little bit. But for me, my business wouldn't be as fun if I wasn't being silly in my stories and in my reels, and people were enjoying them, telling me that I made them smile and all of those sorts of things, and creating those little, and you build these little micro relationships with people. Like, they get your personality, you know, they get your humor. And I have things where clients send me things saying, I think your audience is going to like this. I'm like, yes.
I love
so now clients
that.
are sending me things to post out going, yeah, they're going to love this. So you'd find your tribe. But I think the length of time before you do that is where it feels hard. And if you're in that right now, please don't give up, because it does feel hard. It feels sticky, it feels icky, and you don't know which way to turn, and it's overwhelming because you haven't got anyone else helping you, either saying, yeah, I'm in the right place, let's figure this out together, or right, no, I've been there and I've done it, so this is the next step. So I think the first thing I would always say is to go find that however you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always call it like the messy middle, and almost like you don't feel it in that moment, but like enjoy that feeling, because honestly, things will take off and you won't be in that space, and you'll see how far you've grown. Like, small progress is still progress, right? So just hang on to that notion and try to enjoy like every step. I feel that I've definitely rushed some parts before and not really taken my time to actually fully embrace where I am, and know that that's okay. You know, I'm a year in my business, or 2 years, or 3 years, or how many years is it now? I mean, since I was self-employed, I'm on shots. Yes, 6 years. Yeah, nearly 7, I guess. So, you know, yeah, it's hard. It is very hard in the beginning. And also, a 6-year-old business is still young. So to remember that as well, there is, right. Like, when we think about that, there's all this pressure, this, you know,
6
Forbes
figures
30
in 6
under
months.
30 or 40 into 40. Oh my goodness. Did you have a 6-figure launch? No, that's not success to me. Success is me being able to have Friday afternoons off and walk my dog or see my friends. Like, it's not about that. So get rid of all of that around you, get rid of all of that noise, and just focus on you and the small steps that you can take. And I always say with the client, you know, what's one thing that you can do to move 1% today? Just 1%. And then imagine where you'll be a year from now, right? Those tiny, tiny steps. So there's no rush. There's no stress. Just enjoy the process.
Yeah, I love that. And I love you.
I love you, Fran Excel. You were made for coaching with that name, weren't you? I love it.
It's amazing how many people think I've made it up and it's fake. They're like, oh, is that your actual name? I thought that was just like, yes, actual name.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
So thank you so much for coming on. I think the things, just to recap for everybody, it's this whole idea of collaboration over competition. Like, that's where I really, really see the magic happen, is in collaborations and finding your people as well, and connection with others. It's so important. I actually think it's fundamental to a successful business, for sure. And then also, if life throws you a curveball, remember it's not the end, and post-traumatic growth is a thing. And
absolutely.
also and understanding that when we're doing things that are kind of breaking the mold and stepping outside of the norm, so to speak, it is going to trigger people. But remember, it's not always about you. So you get to protect your boundaries, and you get to share the bits that you want to share with who you want to share. The funny thing is the friends that I was talking about earlier that I've had for like 20 odd years, like, they barely ask me a thing about my business. They don't care. So I don't talk to it about them. So I talk to them about it. So it's remembering that because somebody doesn't share your vision for what you want with your life or your business, doesn't mean that they have to stop being your friend. It's just about growing and evolving. Is there anything else that you would add, my love?
I love all of those points. And I just think as well, like, take your time. Like for me, I'm super about like taking off that pressure, like getting into that more like feminine energy. Take your time and ask yourself what you need every day. You know, the hustle culture, thank goodness, is dying out, but it's not really about that. Like, don't force the process. Like, really take your time to work out where you are, what you want, and what success looks like to you. And please just have fun along the way and find like-minded people, because otherwise it's going to be really boring for you on your own.
Yeah. So please tell everybody where they can find you, my love.
Oh my goodness, come and say hello. I'm like super easy. So at Kirsty Raynor on Instagram, kirstyraynor.com is my website. Yeah, just come and hang out there. I've got the podcast, which is at Mindset and Me podcast. And you may find Fran on there soon. I mean, who knows? We are doing a pod swap. It's very, very exciting. So yeah,
Collaboration,
just come and say hi.
peeps.
Always collaboration. Thank you, Fran, for having me. This has been so amazing. Thank you so, so much.
Yeah. So fun, really great conversation. I think it's so nice to be able to have these kind of conversations like openly and honestly, so people can know that they're not on their own. So thank you. Beautiful.
Thank you so much, Fran. Take care. Bye.
So if you got value from this and you know in your gut that now is the time to step up and start rewiring your thinking and start changing things for yourself, then book in a free discovery call so we can work out what needs to happen to get you from where you're at right now to the action taking success you know you can be. If you want my eyes and ears on your problems, then I work with people one-on-one and through my programs. You can find all the details to book in a call in the show notes, the link in my bio on Instagram and on my website, franexcel.com. So stop waiting for if and when and choose to change things now, because you 100% can. I am here to believe in you when you don't believe in yourself. And as always, I hope you found this helpful, and I will see you next week. Bye.